Hello and welcome back to Mining Stock Daily with me, Paul Harris. Today we're getting a copper and gold exploration update from Colombia, from Collective Mining, and from Ari Sussman, Executive Chair. Good morning, Ari.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
I am doing very well. 2023 is certainly a year that is treating you and Collective Mining very well. We're going to dig into that a little bit more later on in this conversation. But first, I want to talk about today's exploration results at the Apollo target at Guayabales in Caldas, Colombia. You continue to expand the high-grade shallow oxide. Plus, you've also made another sort of kind of first discovery there that you haven't really seen before. Let's start off with the high-grade shallow oxide and what the latest results mean there.
Sure. Two more holes from our famous Pad 6. Pad 6 was really the pad which launched the discovery of not just the system, the Apollo porphyry system coming right to surface, but also we discovered that there's an oxide blanket over it, and these are two more of the same. 46, I think, was the more important hole, of the two today, where we drilled 358 meters at just over 1.5 grams equivalent. That included, again, about 20 meters at over 3 grams in oxides from surface. But why I say that was more important is it slightly extended the size of the footprint of the shallow mineralization to the west. So the system now measures by about 160 meters, the footprint, 160 meters by 130 meters, and it remains open for further expansion. The second hole you mentioned was hole 44. It's actually, we let it run a little bit longer than we have with the other holes from surface. That one cut 428 meters at 1.4 grams, also included about 22 meters of over 3 grams in oxides. When I say grams, these are gold grams equivalent because they all consist of gold, silver, plus copper. That is what makes the system special. Amazing intercepts. Again, I think the important thing for your listeners is that the part one of the 2023 program is wrapping up, which is let's discover and drill the shallow portion of the system. And we're now kicking into the part two, which is let's make new discoveries. Let's expand the size of the Apollo porphyry system. Let's test satellite targets within the Apollo target area, not part of the Apollo porphyry. And also, as we'll talk about in the next couple of 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be introducing a brand new area on the Guayabales project, which is quite exciting.
Okay. Now, in the release today, you talked about the fact that you've hit a density of CBM veins, carbonate base metal veins. What does that mean? Why is that significant?
So last press release, not the one today, but from about 3 weeks ago, we announced 2 probe holes, 41 and 42. Their goal was to try and find the contact of where the breccia host rock, which our porphyry or deposit sits within, contacts with the porphyry country rock. The reason for this is it's well known in geology of porphyries with intermineral breccias that the contact zone can lead to higher grades because that contact acts as a trap of sorts. So in hole 42, APC 42, which we announced 3 weeks ago, we cut 105 meters at just over 5.5 grams per ton gold equivalent. So based on the visuals of that, when we planned hole 53, which you're talking about, from Pod 10, we didn't know what we would have in assays, but it looked so robust. We went and drilled the contact much further to the northeast. So we've stepped out to the northeast, and we've had a good surprise. Okay, so some background. That hole 53, based on the model, okay, was not expected to enter mineralization, so to enter the main system until it got till about 230 meters depth. Okay. What actually happened though was from surface to about 150 meters visually, we've cut an early stage porphyry host rock that is just absolutely blitzed by sheeted CBM or sheeted late stage porphyry veins. None of the veins are standalone on their own within that 150 meters where you can say, well, we could go in and as a mine and drift along the vein and mine it. But there's so many of them blitzing the rock that we're hopeful, we'll wait for assays, but hopeful we're going to have a bulk intercept from surface to 150 meters down. If that happens, that will fairly materially expand the dimensions of the shallow mineralization in this system. So we'll take the strike from maybe 160 meters to north of 200 meters, something like that. Secondly, we after 150 meters downhole, we went into a late intrusion. For simplistic terms for your listeners, that means a dead zone for about 80 meters. There's not much going to be there based on visuals. And then we entered the Apollo porphyry system, okay? But at the contact, so from 233 meters downhole until approximately 520-ish meters downhole, so let's call it 285 meters or so, we see amazing core, okay? We see core that is not just flooded with an immense amount of late stage CBM porphyry veins, but also porphyry fluid, so a lot of chalcopyrite. So we're expecting to have a very high grade intercept there. With some luck, it will rival hole 42, which, as I mentioned, was approximately 105 meters at 5.5 grams. Only this one's over a longer interval, up to 285 meters in length. So really exciting stuff. We should have the assays for that hole around mid-June, and we, like the listeners, are very excited to get that.
I imagine so. So it's about a month of wait. Well, not nail biting, but excitement building. Okay, so you're very close to the Marmato gold mine and gold development project that Aris Mining has, and that's basically they've been mining veins there. So are the CBM veins you're encountering, is that a continuation of the same sort of geological phenomena?
Absolutely. Remember, we're all part of the same porphyry intrusion system. So, what I say about those veins in meetings, I'll say to your listeners online, is that is not the best vein system that I've ever seen in terms of mineability as individual veins. Hence, the Marmato mine up top is only in veins. It's small, and I think they produce only 25,000 ounces a year. But what is exceptional about it is the sheer number of veinlets, the density of it, and its strike. I mean, we see it for more than 3 kilometers from Marmato onto our Guayabales project, and that's as far as we've traced it. We haven't lost it. It's just that we haven't done exploration to the northwest to see if it continues forward. So it is immensely robust. Now, over that 3.5-ish kilometers of distance, it's not going to be mineralized everywhere. You need to be in the right host rock for the veins to have permeated that rock and dump fluid and grade in. But where it does, it is immense. It's pretty impressive. And this is part of the reason why I think there's a camp developing here, that we're going to see multiple mines, over the next 30 or 40 years, come into fruition, because it's just a giant system. I mean, this is just, you don't see this very often, and you see this in areas that ultimately develop into camps.
Okay, thank you, Ari. Now, this may be a good point in time to sort of talk about other aspects of the company, more on the sort of corporate and market side. Looking at your share price chart, you've basically been on a rocket upwards through much of 2023, from a sort of $2.70 in February to a high of around $7 a week ago. Not many exploration companies can more than double their share price, more than 100% gain in so short a space of time. You did a lot of that gain has happened since you closed the $30 million Canadian bought deal at the end of March. Why? I mean, obviously you've been putting out a string of great drill results. So is it just the drill results that's propelled your share price higher, or is the fact that you did a bought deal, has that brought a lot more new eyes to the story?
I think a combination of all the above, Paul. I mean, first off, we removed the financing overhang from the company. We have 2 years of money now. Okay. And that's not 2 years of being careful. That's 2 years of being very aggressive, in terms of drilling. You probably know we're at 3 rigs. We will be at 4 rigs by June, and sometime in the fall be at 5 rigs. So we're going guns blazing on the property. But secondly, the system is, brings 2 aspects to it that is more unique than probably it should be on a global scale right now. Number one, our system comes to surface. Okay, we seem to be seeing a lot of competitors only finding large mineralized systems at depth. But number 2 is the unusual high grade. Right, this is a high grade. I mean, you don't usually say porphyry high grade, in the same line. But because we have these late stage veins overprinting the porphyry itself, the soup mix of everything combined is resulting in high grade. Look, and it's gold. I mean, look, this is, I mean, our mineral makeup is about 50% gold, 25% copper, 25% silver. If we didn't have the veins, it would be not that. It would be copper and silver tied roughly for 75 to 80% of the makeup and only a small amount of gold. But the veins are driving the gold, and that's what makes this great. These are high grade bulk. This is a high grade bulk system that comes right to surface. We're not finding those anymore in very many places in the world.
Okay, thank you, Ari. Now, sort of bigger picture, as you said, you've got 2 years of money to sort of really aggressively explore. So, with that in mind, any thoughts of perhaps doing a resource calculation? Presumably, that's quite a ways in the future. Once you've been able to deploy that capital, aggressing in that expansion and discovery program, see what you've got.
Exactly. I mean, look, let's see. Look, porphyries occur in clusters. Okay, we found one. Okay, there's going to be more. Okay, I can't promise to the listeners that there's going to be economic large ones. The drill bit will have to determine that, but we're going to find more. Okay, and so let's be aggressive. The discovery hole was only announced for the Apollo porphyry in late June of 2022. This is new. We're in early days.
Not even a year yet. Yeah.
Not even a year. So let's go very hard with this money. Let's see what we can find, not just in expanding the known porphyry, but in finding another one or maybe more than one. And then next year in 2024, we'll consolidate our results. We'll take maybe a 2-month break from drilling to wrap our heads around everything that we found, and then we'll plot out how do we go from that point to a future resource estimate.
Okay, great stuff. So in the short term, sounds like mid-June will be the next moment of potentially explosive growth, more growth in your share price when you get the results from the visuals you've reported today.
Absolutely, and very shortly thereafter, we'll have results from the long step-out holes that we drilled. Potentially the most notable one is hole 55. We're just finishing detailed logging of that, so we'll hear more about that in coming releases, but that will be available as with an assay in late June, and if that runs, that's going to be a big long intercept. Let's fingers crossed.
Okay, a lot more to come. Collective Mining trades on the TSXV under CNL and on the OTCQX under CNLMF. Ari Sussman, Executive Chair, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks again, Paul. We'll speak soon. Have a good day.
Thank you. That's all from me, Paul Harris. Stay tuned for more from Mining Stock Daily.